forecasted, combined aggregated inflation was only 27%, which means that whatever they did wrong on the political sphere, whatever they did wrong in the way they wanted to redraw the map of Europe, and I'm not going to argue that, and they killed a lot of people, but then again, so did the Soviets, and so did the Americans, and so did the Brits. So if whoever is free of guilt, let him throw the first stone. And I don't think either the Germans or the Italians or the Russians or the Americans or the British or the French can throw the first stone. Everybody's killed billions of people, unfortunately. But the thing is that because of the fact that Germany has been so demonized, no serious study has been made. I have, but no serious study has been made of how they use their financial system to finance. I mean, think of it. In 1933, Germany was totally devastated after the First World War, where they had to pay the war reparations imposed on them by the Treaty of Versailles by Britain, France, and the United States, when they were unable to pay because that debt was completely crushing them. Well, France invaded the Ruhr, which is the industrial area of Germany, in 1923, and Germany fell into one of the highest hyperinflations in the history of the world. We've all read about it, something like 4 billion marks to the dollar and so forth. And yet, when they changed, and regrettably, it's the Nazis who did it. When they changed the concept of money, and they said, we're not going to do this with debt, we're going to do this with real high-power government non-interest-bearing money, they were able to rearm, they were able to get the country back on its feet. Actually, they did very similar things to what Franklin D. Roosevelt did. They started building highways, they started building power stations, and when the Jews realized what was happening, they had to get the whole world to gang up on them to destroy them. Now, I'm not defending them, I'm not saying that they were good or anything of that sort, but, you know, we have to be much more objective and not take for good and for granted the official history with all its demonizations and so forth, and its subjectivities that is given by the people who won a war, which includes, okay, you can say, well, America was a democracy, okay, Britain was a democracy, maybe, but what about the Soviet Union? Were they democratic?
Well, you know what one of our founding fathers, Benjamin Franklin, what he thought about a democracy. That's two wolves and a sheep voting on what's for dinner. And what's the difference in, you know, I mean, one of my favorite things to do is catch a politician with the cameras on, and when they start talking about our great democracy, I step up to the plate and say, excuse me, sir, excuse me, could you tell me what year and what Congress voted us into, changed our form of government from a republic to a democracy? Could you tell me when that happened?
Yeah, they just blink at you. They have no idea.
They go away. They disappear. They will, and the cameras will shut off. The politician will disappear, and you got a crowd of people standing around looking at me, going, "What just happened?" And you mentioned earlier the magic bullet, and
JFK,
the politician that was on that. His name again?
The guy from Louisiana who opened up the case. What was his name? Not Barrister, something with B.
No. This was I just looked, but he was speaking in the presidential candidate, and every time he got when I was working in 1996 with Charles Collins, who was running for president, on the platform to shut down the Federal Reserve. And when he'd get up and speak, I'd jump up and go, Arlen was his name.
Oh, yeah.
I'd say, Arlen, tell us about that magic bullet, Arlen. And every time Charles Collins got up to speak, all of the cameras shut off. They didn't want anybody in the Republican Party or in the United States to know we can buy back the Federal Reserve. We could stop this. We could turn this around. We could wipe out a $10 trillion debt. We owe that money to ourselves if we wipe out the Federal Reserve. We don't have a debt. And what they're doing right now is setting us up the same way they set up Germany, the same way they set up Russia to be the bad guys. We are the ugly Americans now. They hate us. And really the only, as I see it, the only way we've got out of this is to do exactly what I said, We grow our own food. We create our own energy. We quit financing these people. We quit paying for our houses 3 times. We do it like we did it in this country 200 years ago. And this is where I got the idea. How did we live 100 years ago? How did we live 1,000 years ago? The self-sufficient family farm is the basis of all civilization. And the first thing the communists want to do, 7th plank, is government control of agriculture, and the 9th plank is corporate farms.
Hey, sorry, I don't want to be. I hope I don't make you angry with this.
No,
and
sir.
I hope I don't make your audience angry with this. But in the interest of really, making a brainstorm out of what we're saying, don't forget that the basic policy that the National Socialist regime in Germany promoted was the farming, going back to traditional farming, which is why they were looking for their Lebensraum, their vital space, because Germany was too small, and said, well, we need more space, and they did that by invading Russia, which was completely criminal, completely hideous, completely wrong, and everything. But okay, they had some good ideas, badly executed, very badly executed, horrendously badly executed. But some of their basic ideas just reflected common sense. Land and the farmer is the basis of society. That's why they've driven 90% of the world's populations into cities, because they know if we have them all piled one on top of each other in mega cities like Sao Paulo, New York, Buenos Aires, Delhi, we can control them much easier. And when people are disengaged from their roots, from the soil, from the land of Alabama or the land of Arizona or the land of Buenos Aires, that you can literally touch it with your feet and you can see it grow, people become much more cosmopolitan. They become much easier to influence. They are much easier to control with the television and with newspapers and everything. And you have them all a great population of clowns that they can push around. That's you and me, unfortunately, all of us. They can push around much easier than if we were the owners of land. Think of it, Joseph Stalin had to literally murder 3 million kulaks because the kulaks were the farmers who had been emancipated by Tsar Alexander II in the 19th century, and that emancipation included giving them little lots of land. So when Stalin came about, you had the 3rd generation of kulaks, and they were going to do anything to defend their land. So much so that Stalin had no choice but to kill them all out.
That's right, and he murdered 10 million farmers, white farmers in the Ukraine, starved them to death in the bread box of Russia. All exactly. Right, listen, we're out of time. Adrian, I'd like to invite you back, and folks, let me tell you, we can do this. We can turn this around. We've got the ideas. This show, we should tell you exactly what you need to know about what's happening here, and the way that they are countering us, the way that they are trying to stop this and stop disinformation and stop you from being independent is by breaking people like me financially. They don't want you donating to me. They don't want you buying my books. They don't want you to know about me. And people like Adrian. Adrian, God bless you. Thank you. And I hope this show goes around the world 3 or 4 times. God bless you, Adrian.
Bless you too, my friend. And whenever you like, we can do this again as many times as necessary. And let's stay in touch and continue working together.
All right, sir. We'll do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Call recording has been completed.
God bless you. Make a donation, folks. I need your help. I need to be able to, well, I need to be able to finance this. I need to